Elder Li's residence was not luxurious, nor was it particularly large. It was just an ordinary private dwelling. Around several side rooms that were closely attached stood a 2-meter-high earthen wall about half a meter thick, enclosing a simple, small courtyard. On the side facing the road, the wall had an arched half-moon gate. Through the half-open wooden door, many visitors could be seen inside. Only after entering the courtyard did Han Li realize that the actual number of people here was far greater than what could be seen from outside. They gathered in 2s and 3s, quietly discussing Elder Li's injuries. Han Li had long heard that Elder Li was one of the rare, kind-hearted senior figures in the 7 Mysteries Sect. He rarely lost his temper, whether with low-ranking disciples or his colleagues, and never competed for power within the sect. For such a good-natured elder, praise naturally filled the entire sect, and he was surprisingly well-liked. Now that something had happened to him, those with some standing, whether sincerely or superficially, naturally had to come in person or send someone to pay a visit for appearance's sake, which resulted in the scene of people gathered here. As soon as Han Li entered, he was recognized by the crowd in the courtyard. Immediately, those with lower status, such as enforcers, gathered around him, all eager to greet him first. "Hello, Divine Physician Han. Dr. Han is here." A wave of greetings kept pouring into his ears, impossible to ignore even if he wanted to. Looking at those enthusiastic faces, Han Li also wore a bright, sunny smile. He politely returned greetings to everyone without missing a single person, appearing extremely courteous. But deep down, he was already thoroughly tired of such hypocritical social formalities. Fortunately, those of higher status, the Vice Hall Masters and honorary elders, maintained their dignity. They merely nodded at Han Li in a reserved manner as acknowledgement, without approaching him. Their behavior instead gave Han Li a bit of goodwill. At least he did not have to deal with more of these lords. Ma Rong, however, was of too low a status to speak up. He could only stand to the side watching Han Li endlessly exchange pleasantries with the crowd, his face anxious and his hands constantly rubbing together. Finally, after Han Li finished greeting the last person, Ma Rong could no longer hold back. He rushed forward immediately, grabbed Han Li's arm, and pulled him toward the house. This reckless action displeased some of those who had hoped to build connections with the famed divine doctor. Han Li, on the surface, seemed somewhat wry, but inwardly he was quite pleased. At last he could avoid offending anyone and get rid of these persistent people. Thus, Han Li was directly pulled into the main hall by Ma Rong. There were not many people inside. Apart from a few family members, there were also 2 elders and vice sect leader Ma. But what surprised Han Li greatly was that Li Feiyu was also in the room. This puzzled Han Li. As far as he knew, Li Feiyu and Elder Li had no real connection. Why was he here? While he was still full of questions, Han Li saw Li Feiyu standing beside a petite young girl with tear-streaked cheeks, quietly comforting her. That attentive demeanor was completely different from how he acted around other fellow disciples or even in front of Han Li himself, revealing an unmistakably love-struck appearance. Seeing Li Feiyu so deeply immersed in affection, Han Li suddenly understood and could not help but feel both surprised and amused. He carefully examined the young girl, wanting to see what kind of stunning beauty could have captured someone as reckless and unruly as Li Feiyu. The girl looked about 15 or 16 years old. A jade green hairpin was inserted in her hair, and she wore a light green dress that suited her petite figure perfectly. Her long black hair was tied into 2 small braids hanging behind her back, adding a hint of playfulness to her already sweet face. However, her eyes were now slightly swollen, making her appear pitiful and arousing a sense of tenderness and protection in others. TSK. She really is a genuine little beauty. Han Li marveled inwardly. Li Feiyu's fall into her romantic web was understandable, though he also felt a trace of envy and jealousy, wondering when he might have such a confidant himself. Perhaps noticing Han Li's attention toward the girl, Ma Rong quickly stepped forward and began introducing the people in the room. Han Li had already met Sect Master Ma and the pale-faced Elder Qian, so there was no need to elaborate. He immediately stepped forward to greet them. Greetings, Sect Master Ma, Elder Qian. Dr. Han is here. Sect Master Ma appeared very approachable, showing no airs of authority in front of Han Li. So just call me Dr. Han. Why add the little in front of it? Han Li silently complained inwardly. Elder Qian, on the other hand, merely nodded coldly, in stark contrast to Sect Master Ma's attitude. Han Li did not take it to heart. He knew the other practiced a special internal cultivation method that required severing emotions and desires, resulting in such coldness toward everyone. A burly, red-faced elder whom Han Li felt completely unfamiliar with, someone he was sure he had never met before, had rough, calloused palms and short, thick fingers. At a glance, it was obvious his hands had been trained in some specialized martial technique. This is Elder Zhao, a close friend of my master. He had been overseeing the work of the treasure gathering hall outside the mountains and only returned a couple of days ago. Ma Rong introduced him from the side. Elder Zhao merely gave a non-committal through his nose and said nothing. However, the suspicion in his eyes was quite strong, clearly doubting the young age of this so-called divine physician Han and thus harboring distrust toward his medical skills. Since Elder Zhao did not look kindly upon him, Han Li also had no intention of ingratiating himself. He simply offered a flat greeting and was about to walk past. Sect Master Ma seemed to sense the tension between the two. Instead of worrying, a faint look of satisfaction appeared on his face. Though young Dr. Han is still very young, his medical skills are truly miraculous. I believe Elder Li will certainly be brought back from the brink of death. He suddenly praised Han Li's medical expertise. Is that so? So young, yet truly that skilled? I don't believe it. Could his medical skills even surpass Dr. Mo's? This elder also had a fiery temper. With just a slight provocation, he took the bait and voiced his distrust right in front of Han Li without hesitation. His words left the nearby family members unsure of what to do. Agreeing was impossible. They were still counting on this young divine doctor to detoxify and save a life. Yet refuting him also seemed inappropriate, since the other party was a close friend of Elder Li and also an elder to most of them. Elder Zhao, is unaware. Young Dr. Han is precisely the prized disciple of Dr. Mo, and his medical skills have already surpassed his master, far exceeding Dr. Mo himself. Sect Master Ma felt secretly pleased and added more fuel to the fire. A mere teenager, even if he started learning from the womb, how high could his medical skills possibly be? I still don't believe it unless I see it with my own eyes. Elder Zhao shook his head vigorously like a fan, still failing to realize he had fallen into the other party's trap and had offended someone he should not have. He truly seemed like a rash man, though it was unclear how someone like him had risen to the position of elder without falling from grace. Han Li, standing aside, rolled his eyes inwardly. Whether my medical skills are good or not, do I need you to prove it? He knew very well that Sect Master Ma was deliberately provoking the other party, yet he still felt somewhat irritated. It was clear that Elder Zhao and Sect Master Ma were not from the same faction, and there was even a hint of hostility between them. Elder Zhao's mixed sphere hand must be cultivated to an extraordinary level, its power truly formidable. Seeing the displeasure on Han Li's face, Sect Master Ma grew even more delighted and suddenly changed the subject, saying something seemingly unrelated but with implied meaning. Nowhere near as refined as Sect Master Ma's profound finger. Elder Zhao also seemed unconcerned with the other's status as Sect Master and coldly retorted without hesitation. Elder Zhao flatters me. Sect Master Ma was clearly the type who hid a blade behind a smile. He did not care about the sarcasm in Elder Zhao's words and instead accepted the false praise with a smiling face. Elder Zhao was not facing this kind of situation for the first time. He found it helpless and did not wish to further entangle himself with such a shameless opponent, so he fell silent. However, he still felt somewhat puzzled by Sect Master Ma's sudden remark. One must know that although Sect Master Ma was not from his faction, Openly exposing internal conflicts in front of so many younger disciples was unprecedented. There was no telling what scheme lay behind it. Han Li listened to their sharp exchange without the slightest change in expression, pretending to know nothing. In truth, however, he understood perfectly well that Sect Master Ma was once again trying to stir up discord between him and the other higher-ups. Since their first contact, Sect Master Ma had repeatedly tried to subtly persuade Han Li to join his faction, hoping to use this skilled divine physician to expand his influence. But Han Li had never intended to become involved in the power struggles of the Seven Mysteries Sect. It was not that he was arrogantly aloof. Rather, after encountering experts like Dr. Mo and Yu Zitong, and especially after learning two kinds of techniques, his vision had unknowingly broadened. The power struggles of a small sect, like the Seven Mysteries Sect, were no longer worthy of his attention. Even if he were to be an ambitious man who could not live a day without power, he would not lower himself to serve under someone like Sect Master Ma. Although Han Li's current strength was not weak, he still did not wish to offend the other party. Thus, he adopted a delaying strategy with Sect Master Ma, neither agreeing nor outright refusing, simply refusing to give a clear answer. As a result, it was Sect Master Ma who now found himself troubled, because Han Li gave no response. Yet his medical skills were indispensable and force could not be used against him. The matter of recruiting him into the faction had been delayed until now without any definite conclusion. However, Sect Master Ma was still intent on preventing Han Li from falling into the arms of other factions. Whenever he had the chance, he would try to disrupt Han Li's interactions with other high-ranking members and sow discord between them. Whether these seemingly childish tactics were effective, Han Li did not know, but it was true that no other faction senior figures had come to bother him so far. This unexpected gain made Han Li secretly delighted. Now, Great Sect Master Ma was doing the same thing again. Presumably, he would not leave a good impression of himself in Elder Zhao's mind. Seeing this cockfighting-like atmosphere, Ma Rong felt somewhat uneasy and hurriedly continued his introductions. "This is my mother-in-law, Madame Li," he said first, pointing to a middle-aged woman whose appearance bore some resemblance to the young girl. This is... The youngest girl was introduced last. Her name was Zhang Xiuer, and she was unexpectedly Elder Li's niece, which came as a surprise to Han Li. When it came to Li Feiyu, the other party deliberately pretended not to recognize Han Li, putting on a cool and aloof expression that kept people at a distance. This made Ma Rong, who had been preparing to introduce them, somewhat awkward. He quickly whispered to Han Li, "Protector Li has always been like this. He's just naturally like that and not targeting you specifically, Divine Physician Han. Please don't take it to heart." Han Li smiled faintly, understanding that Li Feiyu did not want to reveal their relationship in front of so many people. "It's nothing. I won't bother with certain people. Let's focus on Elder Li's condition first. Saving him is the priority." Han Li intentionally jabbed at Li Feiyu. Upon hearing this, Ma Rong felt relieved and quickly led everyone into the patient's bedroom. Li Feiyu's mouth twitched slightly upon hearing this, as if nothing had happened. But when everyone turned away, he suddenly made a face at Han Li, then immediately returned to his usual expression, as though nothing had occurred. Han Li suppressed his laughter and ignored him, following Madame Li to the bedside of Elder Li. The moment he saw the person on the bed, even the usually bold Han Li couldn't help but draw a sharp breath. Only then did he understand why none of the other physicians dared to prescribe treatment. The once kind-looking Elder Li was now unconscious. From his face to his neck, from his hands to his feet, there were coin-sized toxic spots everywhere. These spots were vividly colored and extremely eye-catching. Even more alarming was the fact that his lips were bluish and his face was covered in a layer of black qi. Clear signs of severe, late-stage poisoning. Saving his life would likely be extremely difficult. Han Li frowned deeply and remained silent. He had just taken the patient's pulse and examined his tongue coating and pupils, and had already preliminarily determined that the poison was similar to the entangling fragrance he had encountered before, a compound poison. To completely neutralize all its components one by one was beyond his current ability. He could only attempt methods such as clear spirit powder and other unconventional approaches. Thinking of this, Han Li inwardly cursed those other physicians who, unwilling to detoxify the patient, had passed this difficult problem onto him, while still maintaining a thoughtful expression on the surface. After a while, Elder Zhao could not help but ask, "You brat? Can you actually save Elder Li or not? Say something." "Elder Zhao, you're too impatient. Didn't you see little Dr. Han is thinking of a solution? Be patient." Before Han Li could respond, Sect Master Ma again played the good guy and mocked Elder Zhao a little. Elder Zhao glared, about to say something, but Han Li lightly coughed before he could speak, interrupting him. This cough drew puzzled looks from everyone in the room. Only then did Han Li realize that, at his teenage age, imitating an elderly cough looked somewhat ridiculous. But it did not matter. His goal had been achieved, and he did not want to hear the two of them arguing any further. This poison is a compound toxin. It is indeed very troublesome to cure. I cannot guarantee complete success, but I can try. However, the detoxification process carries some risk and may endanger Elder Li's life. May I ask whether you still wish me to proceed?" Han Li said, pretending to be somewhat hesitant. For him, it would actually be better if he were not asked to detoxify. The chances of success were truly not high. His words made the family members present look at each other in uncertainty. None dared to immediately agree, but apart from Han Li, no other physician seemed capable either. After a long silence, Elder Li's wife, Madame Li, suddenly asked, "May I ask Dr. Han, what are your chances of saving my husband?" 50%, Han Li replied without hesitation. "Very well. Divine Physician Han, please proceed with the treatment. If anything happens to my husband, I will not blame you. It is simply fate." Madame Li showed a resolute expression and, to Han Li's surprise, made the decision immediately. "My dear sister-in-law, won't you reconsider? This little doctor is so young. I'm afraid this seems rather doubtful." Elder Zhao said anxiously, hurrying to dissuade Madame Li from making an impulsive decision. "I've thought it through carefully. If we don't let Dr. Han treat the poison, I'm afraid my husband won't survive the night. We might as well take the risk. At least there's still a 50% chance of saving him," Madame Li said softly, her head lowered in sorrow. Well, Elder Zhao was left speechless. Han Li glanced at the others. Seeing that no one objected to Madame Li's decision, he took a Celadone porcelain bottle from the medical bag he carried with him and poured out a single red pill. "Who can bring me a bowl of warm boiled water? Dissolve this medicine in it and have Elder Li drink it." "I'll go." Before Han Li had even finished speaking, a clear voice answered. After responding, Zhang Xiuer, whose eyes had been red from crying the whole time, hurried out of the room. Li Feiyu paused for only a moment before immediately following after her, prompting Han Li to secretly look down on him with undisguised contempt. Not long afterward, Zhang Xiuer returned wearing a helpless expression, her hands empty. Behind her, Li Feiyu followed closely, carefully carrying a white porcelain bowl. Seeing the scene, everyone in the room struggled to suppress their laughter, their faces showing expressions of eager amusement. Zhang Xiuer's cheeks immediately flushed red, and she stood there awkwardly, every bit the shy young maiden. Even so, the tense atmosphere in the room eased considerably, allowing everyone to relax a little. Li Feiyu obediently handed the bowl to Madame Li. "Dr. Han, do you think this bowl of water will do?" Madame Li asked, turning to Han Li. "It will." Han Li gave the bowl a brief glance and nodded. Taking it with one hand, he dropped the pill into the water. In the blink of an eye, the entire bowl turned a vivid crimson. "Just help Elder Li drink it. Women are usually more careful with this sort of thing. It's better if you do it." Han Li returned the bowl to her. Madame Li immediately agreed without hesitation. To her, every word Han Li spoke at this moment concerned her husband's life, so how could she possibly ignore his instructions? What exactly is this medicine? Watching helplessly as Madame Li slowly fed the entire bowl of red liquid into Elder Li's mouth, Elder Zhao could no longer restrain himself and finally asked the question everyone in the room wanted answered. A detoxification medicine I made myself. Hopefully it will prove effective, Han Li replied casually. He had no intention of revealing the name Clear Spirit Powder. Who knew whether such a miraculous antidote might bring him unwanted trouble? It was better to keep a low profile. About the time it took to finish a meal after the medicine was administered, the black aura on Elder Li's face gradually began to fade. The poison spots covering his body also lightened in color and started shrinking. The improvement was so obvious that even someone with no medical knowledge could tell the poison was steadily weakening and that things were moving in a favorable direction. Seeing this, everyone in the room broke into smiles. The way they looked at Han Li was completely different from before. Only Elder Zhao still couldn't quite swallow his pride and merely gave a snort through his nose, though even his expression had softened considerably. Han Li himself was somewhat surprised to see the poison already receding before he had even taken any further steps. He had never expected Clear Spirit Powder to be so effective. Perhaps this poison wasn't as formidable as he had imagined. Yet despite the encouraging progress, Han Li found himself rather depressed, and there were two reasons for it. First, he had already warned everyone that the detoxification process involved some risk. If the poison ended up being cured this easily, wouldn't it make him look as though he had exaggerated the danger and deliberately deceived them? Second, if Clear Spirit Powder worked so well on someone else's poison, why was it useless against his own? He was still deeply troubled by the Yin poison afflicting him. Though Han Li complained inwardly, he still had to maintain the image of a divine physician. So he wore an expression of complete confidence, smiling without saying a word. His calm and composed demeanor successfully convinced everyone present that the pill's remarkable effect had been entirely within his expectations, making them admire him even more. Sect Master Ma was smiling broadly as well, with a trace of smug satisfaction in his grin, as though Han Li already belonged to him. Perhaps he believed that, at present, he remained the person most likely to win Han Li's allegiance, which explained his obvious delight. Before long, however, the situation changed. Oh no! Zhang Xiuer cried out. The black aura on Uncle's face seems to be coming back. Her words shocked everyone. Several of the more impatient people immediately crowded around the bed for a closer look, Elder Zhao among them. Han Li was slightly taken aback when he heard this, but instead of squeezing in with the others, he remained where he was rather than forcing his way to the bedside. But Madame Li was a meticulous and perceptive woman. She quickly stopped the two juniors, ordering them to step back from the bedside to make room for divine physician Han Li to examine the patient. Seeing the space cleared in front of the bed, Han Li calmly stepped forward and carefully examined the condition. After about the time it takes to burn half an incense stick, Han Li finally confirmed that this was not any kind of rising black qi. It was simply that the poison had not been completely purged, leaving only a faint trace of lingering darkness on the face. After reaching this conclusion, Han Li glanced sideways at Zhang Xiuer, feeling that the girl was being somewhat overly alarmed. Han Li's slightly reproachful look went unnoticed by others, but it was caught by Li Feiyu, who had been closely watching Zhang Xiuer. He shot Han Li a glare in return, clearly because Han Li had offended the goddess in his heart. Han Li was speechless. It seemed that Li Feiyu, once fallen into the trap of love, had indeed become someone who valued romance over friendship. He no longer bothered with this love-struck, short-sighted fellow and instead turned back to observe Elder Li's condition. Apart from the unresolved black qi on his face, the poison spots on Elder Li's body had stabilized at the size of soybeans and were no longer fading. Because the residual poison had not been cleared, he still remained unconscious. Seeing this, Han Li knew that the follow-up measures he had prepared would indeed be useful, and he no longer needed to worry about having to justify his earlier claims. It would instead demonstrate his foresight. Go fetch a basin. Fill it with clean water, Han Li said in an unquestionable tone. This time Zhang Xiuer did not get the chance to act. Ma Rong answered first and rushed out in a hurry. Han Li then turned and said solemnly to Elder Qian and Sect Master Ma, "Next, I need the two of you to help. Use your internal energy to force the remaining toxins in Elder Li's body into several specific acupoints. Then I will use the golden needle bloodletting detoxification method to draw out the poison blood. Can the two of you manage this?" Sect Master Ma's gaze flickered uncertainly, but he still agreed. Elder Qian, however, nodded coldly, agreeing quite readily. "Why do you need them to? Am I not enough?" Elder Zhao said unwillingly, feeling that Han Li was underestimating him. Han Li let out a quiet sigh, knowing he would have to explain it to this stubborn man. "Elder Zhao, your mixed sphere palm is primarily an external martial art, right? In terms of the purity of internal energy, I still believe Sect Master Ma and Elder Qian are more suitable," Han Li said calmly and gently. The other party was left speechless by Han Li's soft rebuttal. Han Li ignored the slightly disgruntled old man and addressed the others in the room in a commanding tone. "Everyone except Sect Master Ma and Elder Qian, leave the room for now. The method of detoxification should not be observed by others, and the treatment process requires absolute quiet without disturbance." At Han Li's words, everyone in the room froze for a moment. Madame Li was the first to understand. She bowed deeply and said, "My husband is in your care," then sensibly led the way out. With Madame Li taking the lead, everyone else, willing or not, had no choice but to file back into the main hall. After Ma Rong brought in a basin of clean water, Han Li immediately sent him out as well and firmly closed the door, leaving only the group outside exchanging uneasy glances. Time passed slowly, one incense stick time after another. No one knew how long had gone by, yet the bedroom door still had not opened, and not a single sound could be heard from inside. This unusual silence made everyone waiting for news increasingly anxious. A shadow of unease quietly crept over them all. Even Madame Li, who had initially remained composed, began to grow restless, let alone the fiery Elder Zhao, who had already paced back and forth across the hall countless times. Just as everyone in the hall had completely run out of patience, with a creak, the bedroom door finally opened from the inside. Everyone instinctively turned their gaze toward it at once, the atmosphere immediately growing tense and heavy. Han Li walked out slowly, his face showing signs of exhaustion. Seeing the solemn expressions on everyone's faces, he smiled slightly and said, "It's fine now. The residual poison has been completely cleared. After another night of rest, Elder Li will wake up on his own tomorrow." Han Li spoke with great confidence. In truth, even he had not expected the removal of the residual poison to go so smoothly without a single complication. Upon hearing this, Madame Li and the others broke into joyful smiles, their previous gloom instantly swept away. A few impatient ones were about to rush in, but Han Li raised his hand to stop them. Elder Li is still very weak right now, and must not be disturbed by noise or crowds. Moreover, Sect Master Ma and Elder Qian have expended a great deal of energy during the detoxification and are currently resting to recover. I suggest only a few people enter, preferably only Madame herself," Han Li said to Madame Li solemnly. Madame Li, upon hearing this good news, had no further objections whatsoever. She quickly nodded in agreement and, without even pausing to thank Han Li, hurried straight into the bedroom alone.